This video will show you the usefulness of some of the accessibility features on the iPad. To find accessibility features, go onto the settings and find where it says accessibility. The first feature on the iPad is the feature of Voiceover. When you turn this on, this means you can click on anything that has text on the iPads and click on what you want it to read out, like this.
Ago, the city of Rome was at the center of a huge empire that stretched from Scotland to Syria. At the peak of its power, Rome ruled more than 45 million people across Europe, North Africa and Asia. Its army was the most powerful in the world.
The next accessibility feature available in the settings is Zoom. When you turn Zoom on, it comes up with a little windowed screen which you can move around the screen to zoom into any text that you want to make larger to be able to read it more easily. There is also a magnifier option within the accessibility features. When you turn this on, a magnifier app will appear on the home screen of your iPad. When you use this magnifier app, you can use it to zoom in on anything that you have in your real world around you. For example, I have zoomed into this book here, which means I can take the letters that were quite small on the page and use the iPad to make them appear bigger, which will be easier to read. You can use the little scroller button, which comes up in the bottom, to decide how much you want to zoom in. There is also an option in the iPad to edit the display and text size. Some of the things you can do on this include making the text bold. You can also click on larger text to edit the size of the text to make anything that comes up on the screen easier to read. As well as doing this, you can also do other things, such as edit the way the button shapes are. You can make it so that the buttons have on and off labels. You can click to reduce the transparency on the screen. Increase the contrast. This means that it will increase the colour contrast between the foreground and the background of different apps. Some things that might be helpful for dyslexic learners to use would be the Invert Tools. These include Smart Invert, which will transfer different websites or apps to ensure that the background contrasts heavily from the foreground. Here it's changed the background of this website to black, whereas the writing is in white, which can sometimes be easier to read. There is also a different invert called the Classic Invert, which makes the background a little bit colourful, while it still inverts the colours. I've took a video here to show you what it looks like when you use the next tool on the iPad, which is the Colour Filter tool. Using the Colour Filter tool, you can select Colour Tint and change the way that you want the colour filter to be, and change how extreme you want the colour filter to be. Different learners will respond differently to different settings, and you can adapt it to meet their needs. The next accessibility tool on the iPad I thought it would be good to look at is the spoken content features. The first section of this is speak selection. When you turn on speak selection like this, it means that you can go onto any website or any app and highlight the words that you want it to say out loud. So I can double tap on the words here and highlight everything that I want the iPad to read out, and then you can see there's a speak option.
Around 2,000 years ago, the city of Rome was at the center of a huge empire that stretched from Scotland to Syria.
You can also change the speed at which the people speak. You can move it down, or you can move it up if you want them to speak slower or quicker. The typing feedback section of the accessibility tools gives you the option for the iPad to read out anything that you type in.
G-O-O-G-L-E.
That was an example of it reading out character. You can also go back onto the settings if you would like it to read out any words that you are spelling by selecting Speak Words.
Hello. My name is Mr. McGinty.
You can also select Speak Auto Text for it to correct any mistakes that you make in your typing.
Hello. My name is Mr. McGinty.
You can edit the voices that the Speak Selection tool is used to communicate. There's lots of different languages that you can use, and even within the English setting, there are different voices that you can select if necessary.
Hello, my name is Samantha.
There is also an option to change the pronunciation of certain words. For example, I noticed that it didn't say the word bite size correctly, so I can change it to split it into two
Bite.
separate words so that it
Size.
changes the way that they say the word.
Bite size.
Other accessibility tools on the iPad include audio descriptions, touch control. You can turn on assistive touch here if you have problems with pressing buttons on the iPad. You can also select switch control, and there's various different settings that you can edit on this if required, including how long you have to hold down an app for before it will open. You can include voice control, which can be set up through clicking this, and you can decide what commands you want to use to commence certain actions on the iPad. And you can customize the controls on this section as well. You can edit the settings for the home button of the iPad so that you decide how slow you need to click it for it to spring into action. If you have an Apple TV, you can edit how you use this alongside your iPad. You can change the way that you use your keyboard on the iPad through changing what certain buttons on the keyboard do. If anyone has a hearing device, then you can use this to pair the iPad up to the hearing device. And you can also use this to turn on the sound recognition of the iPad. There's different audio visual settings. If you're using headphones, then you can decide that you only want the sound to come out either the left or the right side of the headphones through using this option. And you can also select the option for there to be subtitles on any videos that you watch using the iPad. Enabling dictation means that you will be able to search for items using your voice rather than having to type for them.